Hey guys, OG Albina here, and I run a draft league called the LTM, or Low Tier Mayhem. The league is probably exactly what you expect. A draft league where the higher tier Pokemon, your Great Tusks and King Gambits, are banned. This format lets the lower and mid-tier Pokemon of the draft format thrive to an extent in which they could never do in the standard format. I plan on running a new season of the LTM starting next month. Mark your calendars. But in order to do so, I need to test my tiers and make sure they're as balanced as they can be. You know what that means. Speed tours. My good buddy and fellow draft league YouTuber Diet Tight ran a speed tour last weekend with the first draft of our LTM tiers to give them a test. I decided to participate myself and give them a go, and see what may need to be adjusted. Today's video will go over the fun team I drafted and the couple of games we played with it. If you guys do enjoy today's little speed tier video, be sure to drop a like on the video as well as subscribe to the channel. On our way to 10k subs, and I'd really appreciate your help in reaching that goal. I plan on doing more speed tour videos in general, not just to test tiers for LTM, but I think like fun like little theme teams, using only choice items, using X mono type team, blah blah blah, because it's a fun way of getting some unique, funny, silly teams out without having to commit to them for a full draft league. Let me know what you guys would like to see in regards to speed tours going forward. And yeah, that being said, let's jump into it. Really quickly, let's take a look at the team and what we got. It's important to preface that despite it being a low tier league, we did add a few more Pokemon that were banned last season to fill up the top of the board a bit. We didn't get the best pick in the world, 6th overall out of 8. It's also important to mention that because this is an 8-man draft opposed to the 16-man draft that Season 2 will be, the teams will be a little bit stronger. Round 1 came along, and to my surprise, the new addition to the top of the board, an Azelf, was still there. So we had to scoop it up. Azelf has a really strong speed tier of 115, allowing it to outpace a vast majority of the lower tier metagame. It also has 125 in both of its attacking stats with insane coverage on both sides. This allows it to function in a plethora of roles. A Scarfer, Specs, Band, Life Orb, Sash Lead, the list goes on and on. It's also a great facilitator of low tier's best offensive typing in fighting, with grabbing U-turns on psychic resists that don't want to take on close combats. So of course, we had to grab an elite fighting type next. Pokemon like Mienshao, Heracross, and many more were still around, but then I looked at the board more closely. What's that at max points there? Terrakion? Oh, okay, I get it. Terrakion had a huge fall off in Standard, but in a low power metagame like low tier, this thing is a monster. Fighting Rock has no answers in Standard, much less low tier. It can SD and just win, or run a reliable Scarf or Bandit set. It can technically Stealth Rock as well, but it is here to do damage. I think Terrakion going undrafted round 1 is a perfect example of draft league hive mind. Worse than before means it's bad now. I'm hoping I can prove people wrong in these short few games that we have with Terrakion. Third, I want to get my Terra Captain. And much to my surprise, one of the best one allowed was still there. Gyarados. Gyarados costs 19 with Terra Tax implemented, giving us 5 remaining Terra points for another Terra Captain later. Gyarados is insane with Terra, being an incredible Dragon Dance sweeper. It finds great opportunities to set up with the natural bulk it has and Intimidate. It uses Terra to not only improve its defensive application, but gain some great coverage in Terra Blast. I love Terra Blast flying in particular, allowing it to finally use its flying stab and even dip into a Moxie set with a Choice Scarf set for a more immediate sweeping potential. Alright, rapid fire time. Time for the role players. Round 4, we got Tinkaton. It has an incredible defensive typing, is a consistent rocker, and gives us a real flying resist, which is super important in low tier. It has incredible util with fast Encore, T-Wave, and Knockoff. 5th, we got Toadscroll. This technically gives us spikes, but that's not why we drafted it. We got it to Rapid Spin and serve as a mediocre ground resist. It can also help in some matchups as a Mon to threaten waters, which we don't do well right now. And it checks most electrics for Gyarados. 6th, we drafted Incineroar. I got it mostly to function as a check for the fat psychics that exist, and especially to give us more means of getting slow momentum with U-turn and parting shot into our frailer offense at the top end of our draft. I've never really used Incineroar, but I think it could definitely thrive in a low tier setting like this. 7th round, and we got Gengar? Why is Gengar here in round 7? Like, listen man, I couldn't tell you. I think it might have to do with the whole draft league hive mind theory I have. Worse than Standard this gen means it must be terrible. I couldn't disagree more personally. I think Gengar is round 1 worthy in low tier, much less round 7. It'll function as a great breaker, and honestly is probably the best Scarfer in the format. I love having this as an option to be a Scarf cleaner because it's very uniquely immune to extreme speed. Low tier is dominated by some of the strongest E-speed users, both Arcanines, Lucario, Entei, the list goes on. Our Ghost typing takes away their ability to E-speed pick us off, which is great for a Scarfer. 8th round, I got Terra Zangoose, a ridiculously strong breaker for super cheap. If we can position an SD, oh man, those facades are going to KO everything that is not immune. It also has strong stab quick attack for priority, and solid coverage otherwise in knockoff, close combat, and the elemental punches. 9th round, we had 1 point left and got Mischievous. I'll be honest with you, I was at work busy while drafting and asked Di to draft me a 1-pointer. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it with Missy, to be honest. I'll never bring it and you can kind of forget it exists. Sorry, Mischievous. That's going to be our team for this short little speed tour. Let me know what you guys think of the quad. And yeah, let's jump into the few games we have. Alrighty, game 1 of the speed tour, going up against Life's Hell right here with a really scary low tier threat in Gardevoir, which is going to be their Terra captain. I believe Avalok Hisui can also Terra in this matchup. Then beyond that, we have Pokemon like Skarmory, which is a recent allow that we had, just solid hazard setter, annoying mon, you know, physically defensively wise for Pokemon like Terrakion and certain Gyarados variants. And then Sandy Shock is actually really annoying for our team outside of Toedscruel. So Toedscruel is here to really lock that guy up. As for the team that we're bringing, we are bringing a Focus Sash lead Azelf, but it's not going to be a Stealth Rocking set. It's actually going to be Nasty Plot. We are Psyshock, Thunderbolt, Nasty Plot, and I forget the fourth. I believe it's Shadow Ball is a means of hitting pre-terraed Gardevoir super effectively, which is obviously very nice. I believe we are a Swords Dancing Terrakion. I believe Sub Swords Dance with, or it could just be SD3 with Stone Edge, Close Combat, and Earthquake. Really strong mod in this matchup. Not really much switches into Terrakion, especially if it has the Swords Dance up. Tinkaton is just going to be a Max for Death variant. It's going to be our Stealth Rocker of the week. It's also going to be our main check into Gardevoir. We have a Terra Electric, Gyarados with Terra Blast, Waterfall, Taunt, and Dragon Dance. We are a little bit stuffed by the Decidueye, but Decidueye doesn't hit us super hard. And honestly, if we can start boosting up on Pokemon like Toxapex, Skarmory, things of the sort that typically might want to check Gyarados, we're going to have a good time, obviously. And Electric's also very nice for avoiding an Oko from the Sandy Shocks. We can live in Earth Power from full, guaranteed. We have a SD3 Zangoose. We're a little underprepared for that Avalok because we do have Fire Punch as a means of hitting the Decidueye a little bit harder. But if we can chip down the Avalok or get rid of it or force it to Terra, Zangoose is really strong here. And then Assault Vest Toedscruel serving as great hazard control into this very hazard stack oriented team, as well as a great check to the Sandy Shocks. That being said, I think we can just kind of jump on in and take a look. We can see my opponent's Terra types. You can see it's you can't see it's Terra Ground, Hisui, Avalok, and Terra Ghost on the Gardevoir. Like I said, we are just going to lead with Azelf, Skarmory lead. This is completely fine with me. If they want to take a turn setting up hazards and being passive or setting up an iron defense, we're going to be in a great spot. Obviously, +2 iron defense would hurt, Brave Bird would hurt, but we are Sash, so there's no even risk of a crit. But we find out it's not even Sturdy Skarm. I'm assuming that means it was probably weak armor, or we forgot to click it off of Kenai. But I'll take it. That's a +2 Azelf with a Focus Sash still intact. So this Pokemon, depending on what my opponent has, can actually just win the game from this position. We are going to see Sandy Shocks come out right here. I am Psyshock instead of Psychic, so unfortunately we don't pick up the KO, and Discharge is going to pick up a Para, which is definitely unfortunate. This does show me that this is Specs Sandy Shocks, though. Discharge would not have done as much otherwise. So it's going to give me a pretty free switch in to my Toedscruel. And from here, I believe I do just throw off a strong Rapid Spin, just in case for some reason I was wrong about my calculations, and then we knock off afterwards just to pick it off. Again, revealing that it was Choice Specs. Avalon comes out right here, and honestly, I could say this is a solid soft check to Gardevoir, soft check to Toxapex, things of the sort, but I love the damage that I can put on this Hisui Avalok, really opening up Zangoose, and to be honest with you, opening up Gyarados, as this thing can, you know, pretty comfortably eat waterfalls and be annoying depending on its coverage moves and things of the sort. So Leaf Storm isn't going to quite pick it off as they do Rapid Spin here, maybe predicting me to want to hazard, but that would make sense with my Celium. I don't know, we'll take it. I'm going to save my Toedscruel since they gave me the opportunity to sack off my Azelf, and this is going to be Gyarados time. With an Intimidate and our Terra Electric, we can take on this Pokemon very well. We're going to go ahead and DD up immediately. Taunt the Toxapex, no hazes, no Toxics, no nothing. Dragon Dance again is at +2. We can 2-hit KO everything on this team. Unfortunately, we are going to get poisoned with the Sludge Bomb, which does kind of like stop our sweeping potential here, as we do Terra Blast here, picking off the Avalok. But we're going to be able to put in some crazy damage. We still haven't sent in our Terrakion, still haven't sent in our Zangoose, anything of the sort. As Waterfall does 54, go for a flinch, because we can win if we get a flinch. Fortunately, we don't here. In this next turn, I'm going to mid-ground Terra Blast, catching the Toxapex coming in. I was doing 99% living on that fake Sash there as it gets some Black Sludge recovery. But from here, we're in a pretty comfortable position, as Zangoose is going to be the pivot of choice. I believe I do just Raw Facade, as nothing really wants to switch in and take this on. The Decidueye is going to switch in and get blown up by a Fire Punch after. Healing Wish from the Gardevoir is completely fine, I believe, as I Fire Punch just to cover the Decidueye coming in. It's going to come in this turn. I'm going to Fire Punch. It is going to be a Sash variant, so bringing down a Sash, looks like it's pretty offensive as well. And it's just Dual Wing Beat, which really doesn't do that much to me. And from here, we can just kind of Fire Punch into Facade and lock this game up here with a big Zangoose making his debut. So the 5-point Terra Captain. I didn't Terra, obviously, but pretty strong here. I think my opponent's team lacked a little bit of structure. I believe there was also like a Mandibuzz on the bench, things like that. So I don't think this is a great indicative showing of like how the team should function and how these Pokemon will, you know, perform in a standard, in a standard game. But we'll see in the next one. Let's jump into it. Alrighty, for our next game, we have a game against Dashing Sceptile, and this is a scary, scary team. The main centerpiece of it all is going to be Terra Iron Jugulis, which was his first overall pick, but we also have Pokemon like Entei that I really, really struggle switching into, being that it can be inner focus, not be intimed by my Incineroar, and outside of Incineroar, I don't really have great switch-ins to Sacred Fire, and it has Stomping Tantrum, Stone Edge, things of the sort. To hit Incineroar very, very hard. So even though it is like a decent check to the fire moves without Intimidate, the moves afterwards are very, very scary. Pokemon like Swampert are really difficult for me to break initially. It kind of soft checks the entirety of my team, which can be really, really annoying, but again, not the end of the world. Iron Crown, either as a win condition or a potential AV guy, a Scarf guy, whatever it may be, is really strong. Palmot can always Revival Blessing up an offensive piece. And Pheasantipity is a decent enough switch in to Pokemon like Gengar, Terrakion, things like that, depending on if he wants to go Fizz F, Spud F, depending on what he's expecting me to go with. So definitely a pretty scary one. I believe we have a lead Azelf in this one. I believe we are Rock's lead. Sash, pretty simple, nothing too crazy. We have a Terrakion here, which is going to be choice banned in this matchup. If you click the right button, it's a KO. Close Combat just blows up Swampert, and Stone Edge blows up Pheasantipity. So there really is no answer to choice banded Terrakion. It's here for a good time, not a long time, but hopefully I'll pick up some KOs. We have a really fun Moxie Gyarados here with a Choice Scarf. We are Terra Flying, so Terra Blast, Flying, Waterfall. I believe Earthquake, Stone Edge is kind of the coverage moves that we end up choosing, but really it's going to be Waterfall and mostly Terra Blast Flying. If we can get rid of that Iron Crown, there is no flying resist on this team, and Moxie Terra Flying Terra Blast is a very, very solid win con. A Max Spit F Tinkaton is going to be our check to the Iron Jugulis, whether it be T-Waving it, whether it be knocking it, encoring, whatever it may be. It's going to be our main check to that. We also soft check Pokemon like the Iron Crown. We also check Pokemon like Pheasantipity very, very well. We have a very Fizz Def Incineroar is here to pivot in on banded Sacred Fires. If it's not banded, it's a little bit easier for me to deal with. If it's not choiced in general, it's a little bit easier for me to deal with. And Incineroar is here to lock up choice. Entei is the main idea. And then we have another Choice Scarfer and Choice Scarf Gengar, much less serving as like a win condition, whereas Gyarados is kind of serving in that role, more so serving as a faster Scarfer than both Booster Speed Jugulis and Booster Speed / Scarf Iron Crown. Having a Scarfer faster than the nose that is also immune to Entei's extreme speed is very nice. Kind of a little bit what I talked about in the team builder portion, or in the draft analysis portion of the video. So that being said, let's jump into it. We can see the Terra typing of my opponent, or you can't see it, I can. This only Jugulis that they brought, they had another Terra Cat that they left on the bench. It's going to be Terra Fire on the Jugulis. So again, got to be careful about Tinkaton. Tinkaton can't play rough it. I believe we only had Knock and Gigaton anyways. But, you know, it's here to slow it down and kind of deal with it in that way. So should be fine. We're going to lead Azelf. I am going to pivot out immediately into Incineroar. I am Sash, but I don't want my Sash broken immediately. I potentially like lose it to Sacred Fire, burn. So I am going to go ahead and U-turn, make an aggressive play, and just double Sacred Fire me. 33 is a lot of damage. I'm going to be able to pivot out here into my Gyarados and click a nice Scarf Waterfall. Good aggressive switch by dashing, by the way, just to punish me DDing. This thing could have been Scarf in its own right. It could have been Sash, whatever it may be. But I'm just going to double Waterfall as I do not expect it to be Scarf. And I am correct in that assumption as we get a Moxie boost and a surprise KO with Gyarados. Iron Crown is going to come out next, but honestly, I'm completely fine with this. The only thing that this thing really threatens me with is like a Scarf Volt Switch, or just a Volt Switch in general. But if I Terra Flying right here, I can even determine if this is Scarf, which is very good information for me. And if it is Scarf, I still get off a fat hit on this, or something else as a Volt Switches out. And there is no water resist on my opponent's team right now. So this is going to be potentially another KO or some crazy damage. So the Volt Switch pops, does not kill me, obviously, due to my Terra. And I'm going to Waterfall again. I believe I Waterfall one more time. It might not kill the Swampert, but it puts in range to die to literally anything or another Waterfall after, and Swampert can't really threaten me from 50%. So I do Waterfall again on the Crown coming in, and while I didn't get 2 KOs like I wanted, we got half off on Pert and 70% off on Crown, which is great value for this Gyarados, which can still get some more value later on, depending on how we want to use it. So I'm going to save it, going to just sack off my Incineroar. We don't really check anything anymore, like the Entei or anything of the sort, as Entei actually is able to come right out here on our Incineroar. We sack into a Sacred Fire, try to get a knockoff off in case we didn't die, but no biggie. Swampert's gonna come out, we make the right call, go for a close combat opposed to Stone Edge, and we just blow this thing up. I figured close combat would be a better and safer mid-ground because Pheasantipity does not want to switch in on a banded Stone Edge, and obviously I hadn't revealed if I was banded. I obviously am. If we do that, looking really tough into CC in the end game potentially. So Pheasantipity is going to come out right here. I have a solid pivot in Tinkaton. I can still use it a little bit for this Pokemon despite it being my main Jugulis check. As you see, Moonblast does literally nothing, and I really want to get up my rocks here. I could have Gigatoned here, but I think getting that Entei in on a timer and chipping it down with rocks every time it comes in is very important. Getting that Jugulis to take 25% as it's probably not going to be boots, very, very important. Punishing this Pheasantipity, this Crown, limiting the switch-ins, even if it does resist rock, limiting the switch-ins is always going to be nice. So I decided to go for the late game rocks, as Entei is going to get a free switch out here, but it was going to get one regardless, and at least forcing it to take the rocks is really nice. I'm going to just go ahead and sack Azelf. If I didn't get burned, we would have gotten a little bit more value out of it, but no biggie. That's why you run Sacred Fire. And from here, Stone Edge is just a KO. Can't switch into the Crown, can't switch into this Pheasantipity. We are going to miss our first one, but thankfully Fez is really, really terrible and only does 55 with Moonblast. We don't really need a ton of health on this. We'd like to not be in range of an extreme speed. Honestly, taking that Stone Edge is really unfortunate. I think, like, outside of Crown, nothing could kill us from full. So a little bit unfortunate, but hey, not a big deal. They end up going Crown anyways right here, as Tachyon Cutter is going to 2-hit KO my Gyarados. Again, completely fine. It's kind of gotten its value out of that we were going to get out of it this game, especially considering that this Entei might have E-Speed, this might be Booster Speed and faster, and this is Scarf and faster. So pretty safe play here, as I am going to go into Tinkaton to take this Tachyon Cutter from the Iron Crown. I did this instead of going into my Scarf Gengar, because locking Shadow Ball into this Iron Jugulis is a little bit unfortunate because I'm put on the back foot and I have to switch out defensively, go into Tinkaton. If it's some kind of like workup variant, Charge Beam variant, it could be really bad potentially. So I am going to go ahead and go Tinkaton, get a little bit of leftovers back, forcing this Entei, and just sack off my Terrakion. KOing that Crown was best case scenario, right? Because KOing that opens up this Sludge Wave endgame. Whether I kill the Jugulis after rocks or not, my Tinkaton is healthy enough because it is max speed F to take any hit from Booster Speed Jugulis very, very comfortably. We can go ahead and Sludge Wave on this turn, knock out this Entei. Obviously it can't E-Speed me, I'm Scarf, don't have to worry about it being Scarf or anything of the sorts. And then I can just go ahead and click Sludge Wave again, as we are Scarf. Booster Speed is going to pop, completely fine, takes 58. They Earth Power mid-ground on my Tinkaton, and we do not die. Able to take out this Jugulis. And again, that Sludge Wave damage should put it in range of anything that Tinkaton wants to go for afterwards. And we should live any hit from 71. So it was pretty safe, even if they were Dark Pulse instead. So all good things to know. It also gives us a Curse Body chance if we get a Curse Body proc on Earth Power, and that's the way of hitting Tinkaton. That sucks for dashing, right? But it's really good for me. So obviously very, very nice there. Able to take home a win. Able to see the team function a little bit more in the way it's intended. And yeah, let's jump into the last battle, finals of this little Speed Tour video. Alrighty, the last game of the Speed Tour against Anime PDA here, and they have some really, really scary threats. So the headliner of the team being Terralokix, which is an incredibly strong Pokemon. A Pokemon I thought in the Speed Tour draft, they drafted it round 1. I thought that was a little early for it, but they proved me wrong. They played really well in their other 2 games, and Lokix was kind of the centerpiece and the star. Moltres is incredibly annoying for our team to switch into, as well as break consistently. Slowbro, same thing, very obnoxious Pokemon, depending on the team that we ended up bringing. The Double Psychic Core of Oxy is also really annoying for Pokemon like Terrakion. Really nice for Pokemon like Gengar, as you'll see, has a great matchup here. Conkeldurr, don't switch into it very well. Not very comfortably. Fighting Dark is just really strong into any team, and in particular our team, as our Fairy Root does not resist either of those typings. And then we also have Terra Mismagius, which I believe is Terra Normal in this game. Smart in the sense of no Ghost Resist that's not named Lokix on the other side. So Shadow Ball spam is a really, really viable endgame, and kind of the endgame that we're going to work towards. Sludge Wave endgame is also very nice, though, if we can eliminate the Mismagius and get rid of that Ghost, that Poison Resist on the other side. We are going to be a Taunt Life Orb Azelf in this game. I believe we are Psychic, Thunderbolt, Taunt, Stealth Rock, either that or Taunt Shadow Ball. I forget the exact coverage, but very, very strong here. We have a Weakness Policy, Swords Dance 3 attacks Terrakion, which, by the way, did you know Terrakion, I know it lost Rock Polish, which I think is very stupid. I think it makes it even more allowable in this format, but it's a whole nother discussion. But it also lost Mega Horn. It has Exeter still, I think the other guys kept Mega Horn, but they took away Mega Horn from Terrakion, which makes me so mad because we're XD X Scissor with Stone Edge Close Combat, but +2 Mega Horn was a nuke on Pokemon like Uxie and Slowbro. Now we need that weakness policy boost to get to +4, and even then, it is a roll from full. We kill off the rocks, but it is a roll from full to kill Fizdef on both, so a little annoying. We have a Lumberry Dragon Dancing Gyarados with DD Waterfall, Terra Blast, and I forget the fourth. It's either Sub. It could be Taunt. Oh no, it's Protect for first impression low kicks. We are Terra Fairy in this game to resist that, as well as just giving us a strong neutral typing. There isn't a Fairy plus Water resist on this team, so I thought it was pretty strong. Lumberry is really nice for Will-O-Wisp / Flame Body Moltres, as well as Yawn, Uxie, and Slowbro, and Will-O-Wisp Mismagius if it ends up coming down to that. We have a pretty darn physically defensive Tinkaton. We are a Encore variant as well to really punish a lot of these more passive Pokemon. Knock is great here to get rid of Moltres Boots. It's just one of our main ways of breaking it. Scarf, Gengar once again. I believe we are Stabs, Destiny Bond, and Trick. Pretty simple set. There's no resist to stabs, so I didn't think I needed any other coverage. And then we have a really bulky but really fast Swords Dance, Flame Charge, Knockoff, Fire Punch, Incineroar, which I think is very strong here. Outside of that Conk, they really do not deal with this Pokemon all too well. So, that being said, let's jump into it. So, our opponent's Terra typings, again, actually you can see them this time. Look at that. Terra Dark, Low Kicks, and Terra Fire on the Mismagius. Both make sense. Dark is really strong into the team, especially with Tinted Lens. Those knockoffs and Sucker Punches are going to hurt really bad. And then normal makes a ton of sense on Mismagius in order to take on Pokemon like Gengar in a Scarf endgame, which could be really scary. Our lead is going to be the Terrakion here. My hope was to either see a Stealth Rock or a Psychic here. If I get that, pop the +4, we're going to exert a ton of pressure early, and getting Chip on this is really nice. Fortunately, my opponent makes a good mid-ground play, just clicks Thunder Wave, and then unfortunately reveals to also be Encore. So our lead plan did not work, and you know that's the crux of his feed tour, right? I thought the plan was perfect, and then I didn't really think of that Uxie has so many tools to potentially stop that. Rocky Helmet on the Tinkaton is also going to be big here. I totally forgot to mention that. That's kind of my main way of dealing with low kicks, is getting up rocks early like we have. The only defog on this team would be like Conkeldurr, which great, that means it's not defogging. But then getting up rocks early and chipping it down with Helmet if at all possible. Punishing U-turns, punishing knocks, things of the sort. Knock will obviously get rid of my item and I won't be able to do it anymore, but at least we get the chip that one time. And rocks plus one helmet should put it at like 63% or something like that, which is very manageable to deal with afterwards. And I think that's the main way you stop low kicks in this format. A lot of people think it's like very oppressive and very broken. I really think having a strong fairy defensively with a helmet and getting up rocks is quite literally all you need. Obviously easier said than done, but I don't think it's a very broken Pokemon, if that makes any sense. Flamethrower is going to come from Moltres. One of the nice things about having Terrakion paired is that we don't have to worry about being burned anymore. As a U-turn does pop, as I believe I go for a Swords Dance on the Switch or just a Stone Edge. Makes sense. Still a little 32%. Want to get a little chip with X Scissor before sacking us. Unfortunately, we do get paired, but that's how it is, you know, you get paired, that's how it goes. Uxie is going to be the pivot out here, as Azelf is just going to throw off a Life Orb Thunderbolt. I believe we see a Citrus pop here, yeah, as it gets a little bit of health back. I am going to go ahead and taunt, stop this from Thunder Waving anything in the back, and just get some more chip with my Uxie, basically Azelf, basically eliminating this Uxie, as its only attacking move it's shown so far is going to be that U-turn. It can't do anything otherwise, which is really nice. Thunderbolt, force it out. Low kicks comes in again. Like I said, this is the plan here. The U-turn here brings us down to 59, not 63, but they don't Terra, which is ridiculously good for me. I understand holding onto the Terra maybe for the Mismagius and Terra Normal and things of the sort, but being able to have that thing take 25 on the Switch and again, and it didn't knock off my helmet, mwah, beautiful, incredible, in fact, some might say. I am just going to sack off my Azelf to this Conkeldurr, as I don't really have a great switch in. Knockoff does come out here. It's going to remove my Life Orb. And this turn, I find the opportunity to get out into my Gyarados, pop my Terra, and start doing some damage. We're a little bit behind right now, but we've done some sizable damage to the opposing side, especially with Rocks Up. This Pokemon can exert a ton of pressure. I am Lum, don't have to worry about any yawns or anything like that. We see the +1 Terra Blast does go ahead and 2-hit KO this thing. Scald also obviously wouldn't have been a big issue. Uxie is going to be the next sack. Again, just clicking Terra Blast here. The Slowbro can keep coming in and pivoting in, but it is going to be 2-hit KO'd as long as I continuously attack it. Scald is going to pop. Doesn't get the burn, which doesn't really matter, obviously, at this point. we're going to go ahead and Terra Blast, knock out the Slowbro. So Gyarados getting 2 KOs right here. Locust can come out. I believe I do just protect, cover for the first impression. If there is no sucker, that's nice. It shows to be Scarf low kicks in this instance, though, as we were +1. So again, good information to know. And seeing that this thing is Scarf, I see a pretty solid opportunity to come in and do a little bit of breaking. I am going to go ahead and Swords Dance up right here with my Incineroar. I'm going to go ahead and click a very strong Fire Punch here, do a ton of damage, only 45 strength. This is very, very bulky, as this Conk does click bulk up, and I go, uh-oh, okay. This could be a problem. So we're going to have to kind of dance around this a little bit. And it kind of shows the power of Tinkaton, and, you know, kind of the power of pivoting immunities, things of this sort. I'm going to make the aggressive play into Gengar. I don't think there's any reason for them to knock off right here, because they don't want to take an extra Fire Punch damage. They're going to Drain Punch, get a ton of health back, because they can always live a hit from Gengar at full and just knock off or bulk up, scouting for a Destiny Bomb, whatever. They have options, right? So they don't need to make the aggressive play of knocking off into Gengar. I am going to go ahead, gonna see a Drain Punch into the Gengar, and from here we're gonna make a very aggressive pivot right out into Tinkaton, sacking off my helmet to a knockoff, but again getting a little bit of chip, which is always gonna be very nice. And from here we can steal his leftovers. Beautiful. Tinkaton the GOAT. Go ahead and encore him. So he's lost his leftovers. I've lost the leftovers as well. We encore him in to where he's always going to be locked into Knock, and Knock just doesn't do any damage to the 2 times resistant Tinkaton. I do Knock, expecting to switch out into something like Moltres. It looks like they're kind of reserved to sack this off, which is honestly completely fine for me. But then I see this as an opportunity, right? Like, okay, they should just sack this off. They don't want to have this Pokemon anymore. It's a little bit of a liability. So I'm going to encore with my Tinkaton once again. And we see I do die to one more knockoff. And that's good. That's beautiful, actually. So we're going to knock off one more time. Covers the switch in. Would have punished the Moltres or the Miss Magius, which is great. And then we're going to get that opportunity with Incineroar to Swords Dance up. We're going to go ahead and lose our boots, but again, we are a jolly, very fast Incineroar, and we do have access to Flame Charge. And even at +1, we are going to be able to knock out this Conkeldurr from the very low health it was at. And from here, exert a ton of pressure. Knocking off the Moltres on the switch-in, right? As we see a Roar, showing it's very physically defensive, by the way, like max Phys Def. But knocking this thing off, essentially KOing it from here. And despite it being Phys Def, it's not like Gengar beats Moltres from full HP, right? Moltres has the capabilities of just walling out our team. Here, we can just click a very, very strong Sludge Wave very comfortably. Low Kicks is going to come out, opposed to this Magius, which is beautiful for me, because Magius put on a lot more pressure. Low Kicks comes out. I do just go into my Incineroar. They knock off right here, showing that they are kind of just hoping and assuming I'm not Scarfed on my Gengar, because I would have knocked it out there. But again, completely fine. This Magius is going to come out. I believe I do just knock off, KO this Magius from full HP, knocking off its Life Orb. Out comes Low Kicks, and again, no matter what happens here, we know that this thing is Scarf. It can't lock into Sucker Punch, because we will not die from 37% to Sucker Punch. And if it locks into Bug Move like it did right here, we're going to go ahead and be able to go into our Gengar, click Scarf Sludge Wave, and take home a very, very narrow 1-0 victory, and win the Speed Tour. Now, closing thoughts. I'm sure you guys noticed this too. The team that I got, beyond it just being a 8-person Speed Tour, was very unrealistic. I don't think in LTM, people are going to allow me to get Azelf Terrakion, much less Azelf Terrakion, Terra Gyarados, and round 7 Gengar, right? I don't think that that's going to be a viable possibility for me. However, we did learn some things. I think Azelf is the truth. I was very skeptical on its max point pricing without any Terra or anything like that. Terrakion proved is going to thrive in this format. There's no switches to its dual stab. Gengar also beat any fraud allegations I think that you could give it in the 3 games that it played. I think we only brought it to 2, but in the 2 games that it played, it won. Incredible Scarfer. I think the best Scarfer in this low tier format. Tinkaton, incredible. I think it should be valued as like a round 3 pick in this format with its defensive utility, typing, and moveset. Incineroar was actually a pleasant surprise. I enjoyed that mod a lot. Zangoose was fun in the one game we brought it. Toedscruel, a little iffy, but you know, it's Toedscruel, wasn't expecting much. But the big one is Terra Gyarados. I think Terra Gyarados, minimum for the next feature, we are going to move it to 20 Terra points instead of 19, the max, and we might even discuss banning it. I thought that Pokemon was so versatile in the builder. We definitely played some powerful Terra captains, didn't play some powerful ones, and I think some people left some very powerful ones on the board. So maybe it's a comparative thing to what I played. Gyarados felt overwhelming, but I mean, you saw how much pressure it put on in every single game. Terra Electric with Taunt game 1, Scarf Moxie in game 2, and just Lum DD 2 attacks in game 3. It exerted a ridiculous amount of pressure. So I think that Pokemon is really strong in the format. and I think debatably worth a round 1 pick if we do end up allowing it to Terra, much less me getting it in round 3. So I don't know, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'll try and remember to link the speed tour doc as well, so you guys can like see the tiers themselves. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know what you guys would maybe change in a discussion way. I will tell you, I lose my mind when I hear the patented draft league player, I can't believe they allowed blah 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 in my league, blah blah blah. You know, have a civil discussion with me. I'm always down to talk mons, just in a normal human way. But if you guys did enjoy this little speed tour video, let me know. Drop a like, sub to the video. Let me know different like theme teams you like to see me do in speed tours, and let me know if you'd like to see more like speed tour / speed draft content in general. Yeah, let me know if you guys are excited for LTM. In about a month, I believe we're gonna start drafting like next week, so we're just about there. So this will probably be the only speed tour on LTM going up on the channel. But yeah, it'll be up soon. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Sub for new. See you guys later.